Hi.
All right, hi.
How are you?
Good. I think we have some awards to do.
It's possible.
Yeah. So let's start with some introductions. I'll introduce Allison. She's the former co-chair of the Coastal Committee. She also has been a CFM since 2003, and she has 18 years with the city of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
And y'all, this is Jerry. He's the award committee liaison. He's been with the he was on the ASFPM board as a chapter director from 2007 to 2013. He's been a CFM since 2000, so he's got me beat. And he's had over 30 years experience with Christopher Burke Engineering as a water resources engineer. Now, please pay attention to the screen. We have a screen, right? All right. We will be having information on the screen, and if you are an award winner, or if you're accepting the award on behalf of a winner, please join us for photos next to the stage after you accept the award.
All right. I'd like first to go over the awards selection committee. We review the nominations received by ASFPM. It's important to know that we're always open for nominations, and the ASFPM website has the link to the nominations, and it lists the prior winners and a short description of all of the awards that we give today. So it's basically open now. We do have a cutoff in February, and so please, if you know someone that you think is deserving of award or a project that is something that should be recognized, please don't wait until the last minute. The members of the award committee is Chad Berginis, Larry Larson, Michelle Mihalovich, myself, Diane Brown, Mike Klitsky, Sally McConkey, and Bill Trakamus served on this year's nomination committee. And I'd like to recognize them for their time and effort on that.
Before we start, I have a couple of announcements. First, the Illinois Waste Management Association has asked for Paul Osmond to be returned home as soon as possible. They'd like to talk to him about this "we suck at everything" statement. Really, Paul, who takes on the land of Lincoln and Al Capone? Get your PC advisor up to speed on that one, okay? I also have an update on the foundation totals that Doug Placentia was very kind enough to give me. As you know, they were running not only the auctions and the annual contributions, but there was also a contest. I don't know if you maybe saw a couple of guys named Dave running around. I know that when I got to the conference, one runs up to me and says hi and then goes off. And when I go up to be introduced to his friends, it's like, yeah, this is her. And then later on, it's like, oh, but I need money. I'm like, are you my 18-year-old son? Did I accidentally adopt Dave Fowler? Then the other one comes up to me and goes, oh, you saved me, you saved me. I'm like, where's your grant? Where's your application for funds? So between Dave and Dave, there was a contest, and I understand last night that it was settled for the next year by proclamation that both of them are good Daves. So let's get a hand. But I want to update you real quick that out of this year's goal for $40,000, we are very close. $15,000 raised in auctions, $16,000 in annual contributions, and $6,000 raised for the good Daves. So give them a hand. That means that we're only 3,000 short. Only 3,000 short from our goal, so let's dig a little bit deeper. Let's find a little bit more resources, or maybe a reason. Say, for instance, every $100 you pick up, Dave and Dave will take off a piece of clothing. And for every $500 you pitch, Tom's going to put it back on. So get those $500 bills out. It's worth it. Trust me. I mean it, y'all, though. We need $3,000 more. We can find it between us. How are you liking Kansas City? Yeehaw! I like it too. I really do. Great place, great food, but I'll be honest, I'm a little barbecued out. Can I get a piece of celery somewhere? No celery. All right, fine. If you want my girlish figure to stay. I thought last year would be breaking the streak, But no, we started this week with a storm that diverted traffic. Do we bring the storms when we come around or what, y'all? It was the storms or the storm of costume characters coming out of the hotel for the Comic-Con. One of those two. In fact, this morning's plenary speaker had to cancel because the storm kept him from getting here. So, Michigan, you were supposed to turn that trend. Now we're 5 for 6. The last few conferences, we brought the disasters. So, Phoenix, you've been warned. You're ready? That's what I want to hear. Someone asked me today, well, what are you going to do to top the cape that you wore the last years? What do you think? So my husband, God bless him, said, really, you want to spend money on a dress like that? Are you going to wear it? I said, yeah, have you seen me? And then I said, and this is the time I'm supposed to wear it, because it's going to be a tough 3.5 years, y'all. And if we don't get up and talk about storms and flooding and disasters, no one else will. So I'm starting it by wearing it on my sleeve, and I encourage y'all to as well. The U.S. wasn't alone in the flood suffering. This year we had the devastating floods of Baton Rouge in Louisiana, we had Hurricane Matthew on the East Coast. We had severe storms out here in the Midwest. We also even had rain and flooding and landslides in Hawaii. We weren't alone. We had flooding and hit China and the Caribbean and Haiti especially, captured by Hurricane Matthew. But while there have been disasters and floods here and abroad, one thing we've learned this week is that there are plenty of good, smart, strong folks out here to help lessen the impacts. You guys are awesome, just like Seal said. Keep doing what you do. Thank you for it. This week we also had a call to action, several of them, especially one for moonshots if you attended the FEMA town hall. Well, the moonshot, that thing in 69 might not have been real, but we got a real one for FEMA. Let's pledge to get 4 times the investment for mitigation and twice the NFIP policy count. You ready for me to go on to the awards now? Yes. All right, our first award is called the Outreach/Media Award. Sometimes we'll give out an award for outreach, other times we'll give an award to a deserving media outlet. For the second year in a row, we've split the prize into 2 awards, one for media and one for outreach.
All right. I'm going to do the first award. It's for a media award, and I'd like to start out by saying this year's media award winner is definitely not a fake news outlet. Nor was it in a hurry to report on and discuss the major flood event that occurred in their community this year. This year's winner has been writing factual, in-depth stories about the devastating impact of the flood on their community and surrounding area. Not limiting their reporting to photos and text, they used average statistics from FEMA, and they worked into 1-kilometer blocks to create an interactive map to show the local population where the nearly 129,000 applications for individual assistance were located. This provided an idea of the geographic extent and damage caused by the disaster. It's easy to report on news when it's happening, but this year's honoree hasn't stopped because the flood event is over. They continue to publish impressive stories that discuss spending increases due to flood-related rebuilding, the need for new communities and communication equipment, environmental impacts of flood, building codes, resilience and mitigation options, how the NFIP works, and how the NFIP should work. Feature stories of people affected by flood and how they're handling the aftermath, and profiles of flood heroes like public works employees who stop sewage from flowing onto streets. In a report to a local Rotary Club, newspaper owner John Georges informed the group that the website hits jumped in the summer during the floods. This newspaper, which normally gets about 500,000 page views on a Sunday, averaged more than 1 million page views a day, and on a couple of Sundays, that number climbed to over 2 million hits. In an age when other papers in the state have stopped printing news daily, this newspaper doubled down on their investments, expanded their coverage area, and became the largest daily newspaper in the state of Louisiana. Let's join and congratulate the 2017 Media Award recipient, The Advocate, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Accepting the award is the reporter Steve Harvey.
Thank you. The Outreach Award, as previously announced, this was the second piece of a previously combined award. The 2017 Outreach Award winners were nominated for their development of an outreach tool that's fun for kids and adults alike, although it was created for the kids. This year's winner is an effective tool for helping students and others get a better understanding of the hazards and causes of flooding using a hands-on approach. It includes a curriculum that the inventors created with this tool that's a wonderful tool for multi-age groups and can be used to teach multiple concepts relating to flooding, including runoff, sedimentation, and flood protection measures. What began as a way to avoid death by PowerPoint in the classroom became a hands-on, interactive, original plug-and-play watershed environment that was picked up by the Ward Science Company for mass production and now serves multiple states with dynamic, memorable outreach for floodplain education. 10% of the profits go to scholarships for students who study floodplain management, and this scholarship program is managed by the Michigan chapter of ASFPM. As the nomination reads, the enthusiasm for flood education and the outreach efforts these two have done with this model is amazing. Who knew that some modeling clay, kitchen sponges, water buckets, and Monopoly houses could be fashioned in such a way to impact the way thousands of children and adults think about floodplain management? The 2017 Outreach Award recipients are David Chapman and Mark Walton, inventors of what is now known as Ward's Stormwater Floodplain Simulation System. Accepting the award is Mark Walton.
All right, our next award is the John Jack Schaefer Floodproofing Award. This year's Schaefer Award winner for excellence in floodproofing honors a woman who has quietly made a significant impact in the recovery process for Hurricane Sandy in New York City. As a hazard mitigation specialist, she has reviewed complex mitigation projects in New York after Hurricane Sandy, working closely with state and local agencies to ensure that they got the best advice. She helped develop integrated mitigation strategies to reduce long-term risk and to increase resiliency, which is a common goal that we all share and value, don't we now? She has also helped develop guidance on procedures that were eventually adopted by FEMA, like dry floodproofing of functionally interdependent buildings. She has evaluated flood risk maps using current and future sea level rise information and has taken steps to illustrate how protecting for sea level rise now is more cost effective than the impacts in the future. Her efforts have helped fund more than $1 billion, and that's with a B, in hazard mitigation projects in New York City, improving the resiliency of public housing, hospitals, schools, and other critical facilities. That's quite a legacy. As her nomination letter states, without her research, guidance, development, promoting of mitigation, and emphasis on long-term resiliency, the integration of hazard mitigation measures into repair projects following Sandy, which was more than 8 times the normal average for a federal disaster, would not have been anywhere near as effective. The 2017 John R. Schaefer Award for Excellence in Floodproofing goes to Glennie Rodriguez for exemplary work in the field of floodproofing. Accepting the award is Glennie Rodriguez.
All right. Next is our Larry R. Johnson, Local Floodplain Manager of the Year. This is our Local Floodplain Management Rockstar Award, and their prize is to attend the conference as our special guest. With more than 17,000 members in ASFPM, we are fortunate to have a wealth of good people to choose from, and many of you are deserving of recognition at the local, state, and national levels. So I encourage you to make some nominations in the coming year. Our nominee this year is well known to many in the ASFPM for his work with the association. However, this nomination has nothing to do with his volunteerism at the national level. This award begins at home, just like floodplain management does. This year's recipient was nominated by his staff, and the letter was a doozy. Written by an engineering and technical people, it was quantified with a bulleted list with data to back up each header. Vision, innovation, collaboration, and integrity. To illustrate his vision, the nominee is credited with developing a GIS-based tool to assess risk reduction and losses avoided, providing better decision-making data for prioritization and for cost effectiveness. To illustrate his innovation, he and his team developed a retrofitting program that grants funds to homeowners that do not qualify for other mitigation grants. You know, those folks that fall through in those cracks. The community has funded 6 projects so far. His collaboration skills are exemplified in how his work with an agency resulted in a jingle contest to increase visibility for Turnaround, Don't Drown. I encourage you to Google this. And after an online voting period, his teenage daughter's 4-part a cappella singing group emerged in 2nd place. But he's still a proud papa. He led the work to expand his city's award-winning flood notification system to incorporate rain and state gauges, cameras, and additional information to better serve the public. And while anyone who has worked with CRS can attest the difficulty in moving above a Class 5, this year's nominee used his integrity to push the community toward a Class 4. And if successful, they will be one of probably the second one east of the Mississippi River. His nomination letter from his staff and his boss ends with this closing statement. For the reasons stated above, as well as out of our respect for his leadership and integrity as our local floodplain manager, we, the peers, colleagues, and grateful staff of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Stormwater Services, proudly submit this nomination. The 2017 Local Floodplain Manager of the Year is Tim Trautman, Flood Mitigation Program Director for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Stormwater Services Division. Accepting the award is the rock star himself, Trautman. Am I doing the next one too?
Yep.
Yes, that's right. You are correct. Thank you. All right. Are you a CFM? If so, let's raise your hand, please. Woo! You are one of nearly 10,000 CFMs in the U.S. This is done in part due to folks who have won this award, the John Ivy Certification Excellence Award, and that recognizes exceptional efforts to promote the professional certification of floodplain managers. There are many ways to help reach this goal, and we often talk about state coordinators or national program leaders who advance the certification program or bring a spotlight to the topic. But this year's recipient, however, is honored for her focus on her local community. She began work with her state's Department of Transportation in 2003, working as a hydraulics engineer. Soon after being promoted in 2014 to a new department that deals with, and I quote, every drop of water that comes in contact with this state's roads and bridges, she sought to have employees cross-train in engineering and floodplain management. Her new division covered employees who designed both box culverts and then employees that designed bridges. As the nomination notes, many in the department felt that floodplain management just didn't apply to transportation projects. This year's nominee, however, felt differently and encouraged the staff to consider floodplain management and to become certified floodplain managers as well. 3 years later, all 6 engineers under her department have now become CFMs, as well as the engineers in the state DOT hydraulics division. This goes to show you don't have to work at the state and national level to make a difference. With the additional knowledge a CFM status brings, the state of Mississippi has a better chance to design roads that mitigate flood issues and provide for safer passage for the state's residents. The 2017 John Ivy Award for Superior Efforts in Certification goes to Rachel Westerfield with the Mississippi Department of Transportation. Accepting the award on her behalf is Stacy Ricks, the Mississippi State Floodplain Manager. Hello. There's a dip here.
Uh-huh. All right, our next award winner is the James Lee Witt Local Award. This year's James Lee Witt Local Award for Excellence in Floodplain Management goes to a county agency that has promoted the community rating service system in a novel way. This organization is located in northeastern United States, where the CRS participation is relatively low. There are numerous small towns along the shores of states like Massachusetts that don't have the staff resources to apply for the program, let alone manage it. In a stroke of insight, however, the local cooperative extension stepped in and began the process of coordinating a regional CRS program with a full-time regional CRS coordinator staff position. This program allows 15 New England towns to take advantage of flood insurance discounts that they were not already receiving. This required the new coordinator to get all 15 communities enrolled in the CRS and then plan and implement a program to increase their program standing. This was no small feat, and it was very timely. Within the first year of the program, 4 communities that were already in the CRS lost their coordinators. The regional CRS coordinator is also helpful by providing technical assistance to town officials and citizens. Working regionally allows the communities to work together for long-term benefits. It's estimated that when all of the 15 communities are finally in the program at a Class 7, the savings of more than $2 million will put the benefit cost ratio of hiring the regional CRS coordinator at 20-1. This year's 2017 James Lee Witt Local Award for Excellence in Floodplain Management goes to the Barnstable County Cape Cod Cooperative Extension and Shannon Jarbeau, the regional CRS coordinator. Accepting the award on Shannon's behalf is Greg Berman with the Woods Hole Sea Grant. All right. Our next award is the Tom Lee State Award. And Tom Lee was a pioneer in state floodplain management programming who passed away too early at the age of 41. The award that bears his name celebrates state projects, plans, or programs that help elevate the profession at the state level. This year, the award recipient is a state agency that received multiple letters of recommendation and endorsement. This agency is noted for its outreach to local communities to help explain new flood maps, which for local officials is a great gift to have because the power of the state behind you when you're talking to the public. They developed an interactive map for use with risk map communication that enabled community leaders to annotate their maps and point out issues to be addressed. They have assisted counties in their state with local technical assistance, in-person visits, pre- and post-CAV, and with the policy making, including assisting one county with the process to adopt FEMA Technical Bulletin 10 as a local ordinance, ensuring that the structures built on fill in or near the special flood hazard areas are reasonably safe from flooding. This customer service-oriented department has also strengthened partnerships with federal, state, and local officials through participation with the Silver Jackets program. They are continually raising the bar to improve floodplain management in their state and its communities. As one letter of recommendation put succinctly, I treasure and value the one-on-one service I receive whenever I need some guidance. They are never too busy to lend a helping hand by listening, giving suggestions, leading you down the right path to find the answer or solution for whatever you are struggling with. They definitely deserve to be recognized. The 2017 Tom Lee State Award for Excellence in Floodplain Management goes to the State of Nebraska Department of Natural Resources. And accepting on behalf of the agency are Katie Ringland and Mitch Payne.
Well done. How are we doing on time? Good. The next award we have is the Chapter Award of Excellence. It's presented for outstanding activity that is replicable by other chapters and associations. And although we emphasize this activity as replicable, There are a few chapters who have done all that this dynamic state organization has done. This year, the Outstanding Chapter Award goes to a chapter who has gone to great lengths to increase their transparency, involve strategic planning for the future, and make a post-symposium action plan. The chapter's annual report helped communicate how they intended to move forward as an organization with regards to activities and influence. It targets current members and potential members, and outlining the chapter's purpose to other organizations that resulted in greater collaboration with partner organizations and growth in their conference participation. I'm sure we can all agree that's a good thing. The report includes a visually engaging infographic to communicate the value of membership participation at conferences to help local government, and helps corporate partners to justify participation and support of the chapter. Next, this chapter decided they wanted to step into a higher level of exposure and influence to best accomplish their mission to reduce risk and flood loss. To achieve this outcome, the chapter updated their strategic plan for 2016 to focus on 3 mission areas: education, advocacy, and policy, with a 3-year action plan to implement activities to support these goals. Finally, to build on the momentum of the 2014 Flood Risk Symposia they co-hosted with the ASFPM Foundation, this chapter created a Flood Risk Symposia action plan. The objective was to create a concise summary that allowed the chapter to incorporate the conclusions of the state symposia as actionable items in their strategic plan. This document provides a framework to convert the one-time event to a living process that can be implemented and adjusted over time to address flood risk in their home state of Florida. The Florida Floodplain Managers Association was selected as the 2017 Outstanding Chapter Award recipient based on the creation, implementation, and distribution of 3 key documents completed by the chapter over the last year. Accepting the award on behalf of the Florida Floodplain Management Association are Cece McKiernan, Sally Cook, and Des Companion.
Our next award recipient is an honorary member, and that's something that we don't grant every year. This year's honorary member, like others, has had a very long commitment to ASFPM. As many have reported, this year's honoree has never missed a Certification Board of Regents meeting. That's nice if you've been on the board for a few months, but he's been on the board since 2006. As a member of both CBOR and the CFM exam work group, he goes the extra mile to make sure the program is both credible and accurate. He has stayed early for meetings to help work on exam test questions and stayed late to ensure that all of the issues were settled. Beyond CBOR, he was often the first face new conference attendees would see at the newcomers orientation, as well as a consistent presence at every conference since 1988, except one. He has served on many conference committees and helped ensure the presentations chosen were timely and provided relevant information for the CFMs. He has also created a registration system for conferences that was used for decades in the association. Only 4 people can say that they've received a Certified Floodplain Manager designation before he did. His is number 5 in the registry, and that was earned in 1999, so he's even got me beat by a year. In 2012, the association honored him with the John Ivy Award for certification, and now we honor him with lifetime honorary membership. And this year's honorary membership goes to Mike Parker.
Our final award is Meritorious Lifetime Achievement in Floodplain Management. This award was presented on Wednesday during the morning plenary to Todd Davison, Program Director for NOAA's Gulf Coast Services Center. But we still want to let you know just what he did to earn this award, especially in case you weren't there. His nomination letter begins, as a result of Todd Davison's 3 decades of diligent public service, coastal communities across the Gulf of Mexico and the southeastern U.S. their capacity to prepare for, respond to, and bounce back better from flooding disasters. He spent a year in the office of the ranking member of the House Banking Committee drafting legislation that ultimately became the National Flood Insurance Reform Act of 1994. This act made critical financial reforms, established the first Technical Mapping Advisory Council, created a task force on the natural and beneficial functions of floodplains, expanded the community rating system, and required a comprehensive nationwide evaluation of riverine and coastal erosion hazards. In the early days of his career with FEMA, Todd trained hundreds of staff and response professionals in hazard management. He gained extensive experience with tropical storm response starting in Hawaii in 1992 and working up to being Federal Coordinating Officer or Deputy for Hurricanes Fran, Bertha, Bonnie, Floyd, Opal, Maryland, and the 4 Florida hurricanes of 2004. That makes me tired thinking about it. This work accumulated with his serving as the Mitigation Director for Hurricane Katrina in Mississippi, responsible for over $1 billion in mitigation grants and extensive post-storm flooding and flood surge mapping. Todd joined the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in 2006 and established a Gulf Coast office focused on connecting natural resource managers and community leaders to NOAA coastal data, resources, and expertise. 10 years later, this office is seen as integral to incorporating and improving coastal resilience in this vulnerable region. His experiences have given him a unique understanding of the connections between hazard mitigation, land use planning, and coastal climate adaptation and resilience. Too often, the people working in these areas are not connected, and Todd has often worked to break down those silos, leading to leverage efforts and win-win projects that have reduced flood losses and flood damages. When Todd retires in 2017, the work he has promoted throughout his career will continue thanks to the capacity he has built directly with the staff he has supervised and indirectly with thousands of colleagues and customers he has connected with over the course of his career. Todd's time in public service has left enduring benefits and a legacy that will be carried on by many coastal community resilience practitioners inspired by his work. Please join me in giving a round of applause for Todd Davison, our honoree for Meritorious Lifetime Achievement in Floodplain Management.
Exciting. That for a minute. All right. So we thought we were done, but we do have one more award winner. The Jerry Luthane Distinguished Service to Members Award. This year's Luthane Award winner was enthusiastically nominated by not one person, but by 3 different members of ASFPM. One of the nominees stated, "When I was starting out as a floodplain manager, she was one of the first people that I met that had the passion for floodplains. She made me wanting to be a part of something big. She helped me understand why managing the floodplain was so important and how, when done properly, it protects property and saves lives. She also introduced me to the world of ASFPM. She spent time showing me that ASFPM conferences were not just about the informational sessions, but also the importance of networking, how I could meet the vast range of people that I could contact when I have questions. She always had a way of taking complicated technical information and reduced it down to simple terms." Wow, what a great summary of why we are here. She was the co-chair of the Coastal Committee. She assisted with the early Digital Coast meetings. She has taught numerous training seminars at the ASFPM conference. She has spent many hours researching and preparing for the awards presentations. She received a SCAPA Award for Planning Advocacy in 2012. She was the 2011 Myrtle Beach Public Services Employee of the Year. She has spent the last year working tirelessly for the National Disaster Preparedness Training Center.
I may know this person.
Another nominee said, her motto is, "Laughter makes everything better." And she consistently does her job as though it is not a job at all, but rather an outpouring of her heart. So much so that she inspires the same passion, dedication, and hard work in others around her. She truly makes you want to be better at what you do and how you do it. Most importantly, she is dressed up like the superwoman that she really is. This year's 2017 Luthane Distinguished Service to Members Award recipient is Allison Hardin. Congratulations. As you can guess, Allison knew nothing about this award. Do we have any other announcements, sir? Jenny? Okay. Oh. Okay. All right, this concludes our awards this year. We'll see you in Phoenix in 2017, and we have a few final announcements from Jenny.